Welcome to another video, A Walk with Phil, and today I'm in Wednesbury, and what I want to do in this video is take you along Leabrook Road. Now Leabrook Road is famous for one particular factory, and that was the patent shaft. It employed thousands of people, and it was this huge sprawling factory that used to dominate the skyline of Wednesbury, but there's nothing left of it now, absolutely nothing left. I know that for a fact. But what I want to do is to take you along Leabrook Road, and that's going to be a bit of it's going to be a bit tricky as it is, because it was around about the late 80s, early 90s when they started to change the road layout around there. So Leabrook Road is not the road it once was. It got truncated and cut adrift in a couple of places. So what I want to do is to try and find where Leabrook Road used to run. Is there anything left of the famous industries that used to dominate Leabrook Road? But anyway, let's go and have a look and see what we can see. This is called Blakely Wood Road, just here. This used to be a railway line, and of course I did a video around here featuring the Hocker Hill power station that used to be ahead of me. These three great big looming cooling towers used to dominate the scene of this area and all around us for years and years. Gospel Oak Road ahead, and the railway line would go under this island here, and you can see some greenery just ahead. And it's all fenced off now, but that was where the railway line was. And of course the tunnel would under this island and emerge over yonder. And the Crown and Cushion was a pub that used to stand here on the corner of Leabrook Road, and now you can see it's one great big nursing home. I mean, look at the size of it. It starts there and it goes all the way down here. It's got to be the biggest nursing home I've ever seen. The Veronica House nursing home. Now here we are in Leabrook Road. This is where we're going. There's another large building here to my right. This is called Leabrook. I'm not sure what this is. On this, just over here, used to be a garage, old petrol garage, and then it became Goodall's American Motors. Do you remember all the American cars that used to be parked out here? We used to sell them and repair them, and thanks to the Far Side for telling me about that one. This is Leabrook Road, and it's a bit of Tipton and Wednesbury really. And what's famous about Leabrook Road is, as we proceed towards the bottom end, we used to be this huge sprawling steelworks, the patent shaft, which we'll have a look at the area as we get nearer. But really there's absolutely nothing left now of the patent shaft, except there is something. There's still a reminder of the patent shaft here in Wednesbury, so I'm going to show you that. Over there we've got a new kind of road, Chillington Road. Just at the entrance to Chillington Road once stood a pub, and it was called the Railway Tavern. It opened in 1901 and it closed, and it was demolished in 1978. And as we proceed a little further along here, you can see a convenience store now on the corner. That was also once a pub. There's been a pub on that site there since 1878, but the pub was demolished and rebuilt in 1950, and it was the Jolly Collier. It closed in 2018 and it became the Spar convenience store. It's a showery, gusty Sunday afternoon, so I might have to get the umbrella up from time to time. And there's Bagnall Street. There was a lot of industries around this part, and there was a huge amount of industries down Leabrook Road. This is Lou's Car Wash. Lou's Car Wash. And we've got some part wall tyres and a few cars for sale. You know, I see a lot of these car lots around the area, and I never ever see anyone having a look at the cars for sale. Somebody must buy some cars from them, because there's loads of them. I never see anybody looking at the cars. This is Braylow, manufacture and distribution of rivets and riveting tools. As we come down a hill, you can see ahead of me everywhere everywhere you look, right, it's really residential. There's Dowbank Road. I always think that when we get to Dowbank Road, that's Tipton, and you go past Dowbank Road becomes Wednesbury, but I'm probably wrong. There's a look up Dowbank Road. And so many old terraced houses used to line the sides of Leabrook Road, and it would be amongst all this industry that was round here. There was ironworks, steelworks. Thousands of people were employed down this road. But sadly, there's not much industry left now. And this one's called CLA Fabrications. Yeah, the rain's beginning to chuck it down now. There's Lee Avenue. Now, you'd have to, if one or two of you know the area along Leabrook Road, this is something I'm not familiar with really, but there was a company around here, and it could be that one just in front of me, look, where it looks derelict and abandoned. Now, would that have been Proderite? I do remember seeing a factory when I've driven down here back in the 80s. There's been a garage there for years. There's a cafe on the corner. Yeah, so Proderite was the building, that's the industry I do remember along here on the right. Another convenience store. News off licence. It's in a rather swanky house. There's an office block, DJ and Gage Company Limited. I wonder what that's going to be over there. Because you see some kind of structure's been put in place. Metal structure, but I don't know what that's going to be. Does anybody know? So let's have a look at this site here then. Here you can see some very old factories at the back. ND Jig and Gauge Company Limited now. But am I right in thinking that used to be the site of Proderite? If you look down there, you can see that's Willingsworth Road. But it's a very overgrown site where they put that metal structure. This is Leabrook Bridge. And this is Leabrook Bridge that crosses the canal. You can see this is the Walsall Canal. And you can see the canal winding its way through Wednesbury, Tipton. Perhaps you find a nicer view here. It's all very nicely landscaped on both sides of the canal. On the left side of this canal, just there where all the trees were, once stood a lot of sawmills, and where all these fancy townhouses now. Once was a scrapyard and a coal depot. And the newly created road, and they built these townhouses was Bagnall's Wharf. And look at that thing there, that pylon. It just stands there, a massive thing it is, towering above us. Looks like Blackpool Tower. There's some 40s, 50s council properties up there, underneath all those pylons. You can see the road now would bear to the right, but the Leabrook Road would have continued just through there. So that's where we'll continue our walk. It's called Leabrook Road North now. This is Pacific Avenue. That leads you to a fair few units around here now. There's the metal centre, and this is Edmondson Electrical, with a huge granite block. A huge granite block here which has got the name Parkway on. Parkway Estate perhaps, but look what spoils it. Somebody's stuck on an advertising board above it. Hornbeam Peloton Real Estate. Yeah, on the corner of Pacific Avenue, just noticed those two things there. I think those to do with railway. Oh, what on earth they are. It's two large stone blocks. See, Leabrook Road would have continued. Would have gone straight on up, wouldn't it? And it would have come straight down here. Now we've got all this new road layout there. But this was the original road along here. So let's go and have a look. See where this takes us. And I'm presuming it will take us to a metro station. Now this is a place here on the left, the Leabrook Methodist Church. It's a little bit out of the way now, tucked in up here. The old church in the community. Quaint looking place. This is Bannister Road, where all this metal fencing is. There used to be a factory along here, and it was known as the Barrel and Bag Factory. There's all this metal fencing all the way down there, look. It's a very overgrown site now, all a large thicketed area. Thicketed, is that a word? This is the Wednesbury Parkway, entrance to the metro. And now this is where we see the Leabrook Road sort of ends here. And we've got a kind of a walkway now underneath the metro bridge. Now I'm going to go straight on through this path, see where this path takes me. Never been down here, you know. But that little pathway there, look, takes you somewhere. But all this grassland that you can see ahead, all this wooded area that you can see ahead on the left, was all railway lines there. All lines that used to branch off the main line. And this is where Leabrook Road ends. Sadly we cannot proceed any further. So I'm going to try and get over that side of the road and show you what's over there. But around here, look, I don't exactly know, but this could have been one of the entrances to the Payton Shaft Works. It was over here. Okay, we're over the other side of the road now. But this is where Leabrook Road would have continued. As we look to the left, to my left there's a company called KUKA who do robotics, and also Richard's CCTV. You can just see just over there. And I remember Richard's being in the Upper High Street in Wednesbury. So just ahead of me there, just over there, that's called Axletree Way. Obviously that's a nod to the factory that used to be here. It was absolutely huge. It used to employ thousands of people. It can trace its roots back to 1830, but I believe it was established around about 1840. They made axles for coaches, but Payton Shaft would go on to make a lot more than just axles. I always remember it being in three parts. There was the Lee Works, the Monway Works, the Brunswick Works as part of Payton Shaft, and the Brunswick Works, the Brunswick Park actually took its name from the Payton Shaft. I do believe the Payton Shaft did own the Brunswick Park land, but they would build bridges as well. It was a huge steelworks. The Payton Shaft Axletree Company changed its name in 1959 to the Payton Shaft Steelworks, but it was a factory that would dominate this area here. But it closed down in 1980, and a lot of that was to do, I believe, to the National Steel Strike, which affected a lot of the nationalised steel companies in the country. Then it slowly crept into it affecting all the private companies such as Payton Shaft, and I'm not sure if it got picketed or anything, but it never recovered from that time, and so it closed down. Now this is Great Western Street, really to actually trace the path of Leabrook Road now. It's totally changed. But this would have been Leabrook Road where I'm standing. Again, just show you these factory units here, give you some idea as where I am. There used to be a pub there used to be a pub that stood here. Leabrook Road would continue along this little stretch here. There's another one of those huge self-storage units over there. Now on the corner here, this one is Lodge Car Sales here. There once stood a club there, and it was the Payton Shaft Club. Who remembers the Payton Shaft Club, eh? It was on this site here. The club did have quite a few famous stars singing there back in the day. One of them, you wouldn't believe this, but I actually saw David Whitfield in there, in the Payton Shaft Club. David Whitfield, anybody remember him? A famous tenor in his day in the 50s. This is another car place. It's called A1 Autos. Can't even remember the factory itself because I rarely went down there. I just can't remember it. But I do remember when it was practically bulldozed. I think 1986 was the last few buildings left that they demolished to the Payton Shaft. And the last thing that was standing was the gates. The Payton Shaft gates, they was there for ages, they were. And the gates were eventually saved. And I'm going to show you where those gates are. But this is where this particular part of Leabrook Road now ends. As we know, as it now becomes Dudley Street. Enter there the fire station, Wednesbury bus station behind me, and ahead of me is the last remnant of the Peyton Shaft Steelworks. I think it's officially titled the Peyton Shaft Island. I can't get any closer, but you can just make out that's the original Peyton Shaft gates that was situated at one of the entrances to the Peyton Shaft Steelworks along Leabrook Road. They've been saved, they were saved and restored and erected here at this island, where you've got Dudley Street ahead, and I would say that when you can see that pylon, that is where the Peyton Shaft Steelworks would have dominated the area. Well, that wasn't so easy, was it, trying to find Leabrook Road? That was the biggest task of all, that was. And you couldn't really make out exactly where the Peyton Shaft Steelworks used to stand, but we've got a fairly good idea, simply because it's all sort of closed off now. It's not very really accessible to get around that area now. I think you've got the idea that Leabrook Road was a very industrialised area, and with the Peyton Shaft dominating it, and there was Proderite, and there was another ironworks, I believe that was next door to the Peyton Shaft, and it's just completely obliterated now. Mainly Leabrook Road is just residential now, isn't it? But anyway, I think we'll leave it at that, and if you like the video, hit the like button, and also hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for new videos, and I'll see you on the next one.